Hello! Welcome to episode 115 of We Have Issues. I'm Anthony. Stevie Wildcard is my co-host, my best friend, and every week he and I get together and we do our best to overcome our various issues and obstacles and make comic books. We've been trying to make comic books for 20 years-ish. I'm old. We're old. You can count the rings and the pimple on my nose to see how old I am, which is super duper old. By the way, like, come on, adult pimples. You know what? For me, I'll tell you, like it's one of those things where it's a known entity. It's a known event that I just put myself through, and I can't complain. I will vehemently, endlessly. But if I eat chocolate, this is what happens. It's just that's the ticket to the chocolate ride. I don't think that's a thing. That's not a saying. But if I want to go on the chocolate coaster, if I want to enjoy Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, this all sounds not great. But if I want to do all that, this is what happens. Just I get stuff on my face. Occasionally it's here. Often it's like, oh, you want to celebrate Halloween and eat your Halloween candy? It's Christmas time, baby. Now you're Rudolph. Deal with it. So I do, and I'm just like, whatever. I live that life, and I save Christmas for everyone. That's what you get, Reese's. Which aren't as delicious as I think they're going to be every single time. It's like 90% powder. It's the only time they put the creamy, good peanut butter in the Reese's anymore is for the holiday ones, and even then it's questionable, and they're getting smaller and weird. I'm sure everyone... This is what our podcast is, by the way. It's just complaints about Reese's and CenturyLink now. But every week, my best friend and I get together and we do our best to overcome our obstacles and make comic books. We've been trying to make comic books forever and have failed a bunch, have failed so much. And we did so much that we decided we're really good at failing. You know what we should do? It's like fail at failing. And we're like, that's good. That's a good idea. What if we failed at failing together? And this podcast was born. The birth of an era. And now it's come to an end thanks to Century. It's not come to an end. We are holding out. We're holding strong. We are like the 300, but like clones, just the two of us, over and over and over. We will keep fighting and doing what we can to get things done. But most recently, we've been working on a supernatural action comedy book about kind of overcoming the negative thoughts that, intrusive nonsense that get inside your brain, tell you that you're not good enough, and, just try to become the best, coolest, version of yourself, the heroic version of yourself. That's what he's trying to do, at least, it's because he has to. He kind of does. I mean, he has this whole hero's journey. You'll see. I don't want to spoil anything. He dies. Everyone dies. Everyone in the whole book dies. It's called Deathless, and I was like, ha ha ha! Everyone's dead at the end. It's like, Act 1 is just the Act 3 of Titanic, is what it is. That's where a book starts. It's actually a sequel to the Titanic that follows Jack as he meets the Atlanteans underwater, and you learn why they wanted him to suffer. Which. What a weird movie. They didn't have to do that at all. It would have made so much more sense if she would have left her life and just like they would have started a life together, and they anyway, it's just so silly. So my friend and I have this podcast. We try to talk about all of the various obstacles that get in the way of getting things done. This week, one of our biggest obstacles has been the internet. I've had internet issues. My friend has had internet issues. It's just been crazy. It's just it is unfortunately the boss of this particular level. It is the thing that we are going to we are getting in our hits. We've gotten in a couple of hits, and we need at least one more, and it'll be done. And then I'm like, and it'll go on to the next level. We'll find out the princess wasn't in this particular castle, and we will freaking move forward. I'm ready to be over the internet issues. I'm sure you're all ready for us to be over the internet issues. But this week, I just wanted to get something out here and just talk to you all about what I've been going through, which is what do we call it? Depression. So recently, I've been finding myself kind of spinning and not feeling like I'm getting enough done, and then I was going through a lot. So then I I go full force. I'm like, I'm gonna be in super productive mode, which no one likes to hear, by the way. You're not allowed, like, publicly. You can't be like, I'm getting a lot done, because people are like, I'm not, and you make me feel weird. And I'm like, I'm not trying to say you have to. Like, I also live in that weird quicksand all day, all the time. But I will tell you, when I do find myself in that position where I'm like, like the horse sinking in quicksand, and also like, oh God, I have to get him out somehow. I can't go through this again. My childhood was dark enough. I find various ways to grab that rope and get that freaking horse out of the gross muck. This week I've been working on teaching myself animation, and like using this fun program and drawing more and trying to do things that are just fun for me, because I needed it. But yeah, this week I needed to do something that was just for me, and I enjoy writing, so I was just like, oh God, you know what? I haven't really been writing Deathless issue 2. I'm gonna jump into that. I'm gonna work on some animation. I'm going to I put together this, I like participated in putting together this video for my friend Tim, who, by the way, is celebrating 100 episodes at his podcast 22 Minutes, which, if you haven't seen, it's a podcast that focuses on mental health and mental health issues in the best way possible, as far as I'm concerned. It is, he focuses on breaking a stigma through cracking a smile, and just like he shares a lot of like personal stories and like his personal experience with things while he learns, about the various mental health issues, and it's done in such a great way, and he's such a fantastic person. I think you should all go support him. But that was something I worked on today, this week, was just like, his congratulations situation, because he's a friend, and, you try to help friends, do what we can. But I've had a lot going on. I also had my Dungeons and Dragons podcast, which, okay, I get it. If you're not interested in Dungeons and Dragons, I get it. Like a huge percentage of my life, I didn't know much about Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, oh, it's a game without pictures, or it's a game where like it's all up here. And it's like, I do that by myself. I'm not sure that I want to incorporate like other people's up here's situation into my up here situation. Like, it's like, why would we do that? And it seemed, like for a huge percentage of my life, I was just like, nah, I don't know, not for me. Then I watched and listened to the podcast Harmontown, and they played Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder and tabletop games, and it was so funny, and it was so much fun. And I watched them tell a story together and create characters and improvise and be funny and thought-provoking, and like that's just like touching at times, mostly absurd and silly, and just like kind of like walk that weird tightrope between all these genres. And I was just like, oh, you can do that. I love it. And I was like, that's my favorite thing in the world, is when people find a way to kind of like straddle the line, or like walk that weird line between silly and sincere. And it's just like, I like this, it's for me. So I really wanted to play, and I never got a chance to do it. And I like wanted to do that for years, after discovering that podcast. And I listened to that, and I watched it. I loved it so much. And I looked for groups, and I couldn't find anyone. And finally I found a group, and I was like, yes. And then I don't know if you heard of this. There was this thing that happened. It was this little flu went around. It was the worst. It's still the worst. It's terrible. People, this is garbage. The fact, specifically because it canceled my Dungeons and Dragons, obviously, but we don't talk about that stuff here. But we focus on personal issues, which is why I'm going to say it sucked, because I just got into this thing with this, with a group of friends. We were playing D&D, and it was so much fun. I had this character down, Fenring, and I had a voice, and I was doing this whole thing. I got to act and like be funny, and then we no longer did it. It was just, we obviously couldn't meet anymore, and we were like, okay, and like some of us were suggesting, like, can we do it online? Like, is it possible that we just do it online? And then other people were just not interested, and that's fine. That happens. And it stunk. It sucked. So I started other things and trying to like throw myself into other, hobbies and stuff. But I wanted to play D&D. And then I saw someone on Twitter post that they were going to start a podcast about Dungeons and Dragons. Not about Dungeons and Dragons, but playing Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, I need in, even if it's not a podcast. Like, just let me. I would like to go to there. Like, I want to play. Let me do this. I'm gonna roll these dice. You know, and I threw my name into that ring, and they were like, no, and they kicked it out. And I was just like, no, that didn't happen. But what did happen is he was like, I don't know, you're kind of a, I don't know about you. And I was like, but please, please, like, what was that? Who Framed Roger Rabbit? But yeah, so I had my like Roger Rabbit moment, and he was like, okay, fine, and he let me in, and then I've been doing it, and now I'm on a podcast called Critically Stupid, and I play silly, ridiculous, absurd, naive bard with a very dark backstory that no one has questioned and hasn't come up except for once, but I don't want to spoil anything. It's been a lot of fun. I love doing it. I love doing this podcast. And recently I got to put my like musical skills, abilities to the test and start writing a theme song for it. And that was fun. That was a lot of fun. But there were some issues around that where I was just like, I like writing songs. I have no knowledge of recording them though. Like as far as I could like put a microphone in front of me and be like, this is what it should sound like. And then I need people with skills I do not have to do things I cannot do and make it sound better. So I was just like, crap, here you go. So I wrote a thing, and I was like, I can see the potential in this. I think it's good, and the person, the primary host, dungeon master of that Critically Stupid was like, this is the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life, and I'm gonna kill your character if you ever make me listen to one more freaking second. No, he didn't do that at all. He was like, this is amazing, I love this. And I was like, oh, that was just like a really quick, like crappy version, because that's what I'm used to doing. And I was like, I don't know how to do it. I think, okay, what's the next step? So I tried to fix it up and re-record it, and then like I spent hours cleaning it up, and I was like, okay, this sounds cleaner. It's more put together. It's crisp. It's crisper. It's not good. It's not crisp and glove. It's okay, And I showed it to him, and he was like, I like the other one better. I was just like, let me tell you how devastated I am internally after spending my time doing this. And I was like, I could have done nothing. But then I had a problem, because I was just like, oh, well, that first version, I made some mistakes, and I have to fix it. And so I've been working on that. And this week I wrote Deathless. I wrote several pages of Deathless. I haven't finished. I think I have a couple of pages. I don't know how many pages. I'll probably go back and rewrite what I've written, but I'll tell you that like I really do like it. So I've written several pages, the amount of pages I wanted to write, got it done. I worked on this animation project, which I'll put at the end of this video just to show you what I'm working on. I got that done, which is a lot of learning for me. It's cool, it's fun, but it's been a lot of work, and it's like fun work. Got that done. I gave Steven all the comic books and all the stickers so he can ship them off to our Kickstarter backers, and we can start getting his book out to people. Got that done. We just done so much stuff. I worked on this song, and I made a newer version, like the newest version. I got that done. I filmed a new freaking podcast. I got that done. I've done so much stuff this week, and I am still depressed. I'm still just like, hey, I'm like, I feel good about these things and I feel rewarded, but it's just like, you can't work away mourning, you can't work away grief. And I'm like, not with that attitude. I will freaking do it. You watch me. I know it's just a process. I know that, but it's just weird. I have this chair, because my other chair, every time we would record, I would get up and I would say, oh, my butt, every single time. I just can't do it because I don't have enough butt to cushion. I don't have, I was sitting on a computer, or not a computer, I was sitting on a piano bench which, if you don't know about piano benches, as far as the one that's in my house, it is just a solid. It's like someone took a tree, chopped it, and just threw it in my house. And I was like, "Oh, this is very uncomfortable." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we know you killed that tree, and you deserve the pain." And I'm like, "I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't personally do it." And they're like, "He doesn't know that." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, Treebeard's cousin or whatever." By the Treebeard. Come on, come on, like Tolkien or like who came up with Treebeard? Treebeard? That's his name. They're like, hey, giant tree. Yeah, but they're not called trees. Oh, okay, but his name. No, it's Treebeard. So I can be person beard. No, that's weird. That sounds bad. So does Treebeard. Like that's terrible. It's a terrible choice. I just wanted you guys. I wanted you to have something this week, just in case Steven and I both fail to get an internet connection and have those sort of issues, because we have, and it happens. But we've yet to miss a week, and I didn't want this to be the first. I don't ever want there to be a first. Not that it necessarily is indicative of anything worse, but I very much, as a person who is a worrier, or I don't think I'm a worrier. I'm a warrior against negative potential is what I am. I just fear, like, I see the possibilities, right? Like, I am like the worst version of that movie Next with Nicolas Cage, where like he sees every potential outcome. I'm just like, I only see all the bad outcomes, and I'm like, I just gotta keep dodging these bullets, and like none of the bullets ever come is the thing. It's fine. It's fine. But it's one of those, my heart, my whole body is like, you'd rather be safe than sorry. I'm going to show up 3 hours early to make sure I get a parking spot, because if I show up and there is no parking spot and I have to walk for 10 minutes, I'm going to cry and I'm going to get upset. It's going to ruin my whole day. And I know that about me. So I might as well just show up early, because I'm not going to be upset that I found a parking spot and have to sit around early, because I have a phone and a brain and I can look around and think about nonsense. That's what I do. And that's where I come up with most of my ideas, because I am ridiculous and show up to places way too early and use my time to come up with garbage. That's how I come up with Pitches Get Stitches, and it's a perfect segue. So, what I'm going to be doing for fun with this animation project is, or at least initially what my intention is I'm going to take this character and I'm going to take the myriad pitches that I have on Twitter under the label of like coming this fall. I tried my best to always write coming this fall before them, so then I can just search my name with coming this fall and I can always find them. Simple. So I did that, and my plan is I'm going to make all the coming this fall pitches out of the mouth of like my own horror character, and it's like a crypt keeper-esque, sort of fun anthology hero character. Like he's going to be the narrator of sorts. I don't really have much of a backstory for him. Since it's Pitches Get Stitches, I thought it would be cool to call him Stitches and make him kind of like cut up, like he has various, like almost like Leatherface, but he looks more put together. Like he's not wearing a mask, he is made up of that, like Frankensteinian rather than Leatherfacian. So I kind of like that idea, and like maybe he has a master, maybe he has someone who made him. Because I like the idea, like maybe he works in a morgue because he has to live among the dead and undead, because he like looks the way he does, but he aspires to more. He wants to tell stories. He wants to be a writer. He wants to be a movie maker. He has all these ideas, and they come to him when he sees the various people enter the morgue, because everyone has a story, and not all the stories end well. Most of the stories in the morgue don't end particularly well. Some of them probably do. But yeah, so I like the idea that he's a person who, like, this creature that was made by someone, like forced to live in the morgue, and he's dreaming of this other life. So he's trying to say like, look, I have these ideas, and he's so he's pitching them. He's like telling everyone like what all of his ideas are, and then he's just going to talk to us about them, and that's it. He's just going to say the idea, silly ending, just like we always do. Pitches Get Stitches, and that's just it. Like quick videos, it'll be fun. And then what'll happen is Shudder or one of the various streaming services will discover the character and all of these various pitches and see the potential in them, and then hire me or just pay me money for the ideas, and I will quit my job, and then I'll do this. And then I will think more and more and more about parking situations in various places, because I'll be able to go to other places more often and then have more life experiences and then be able to tell more stories. Because right now, my life experiences are very much what they were when I was working on this thing, where I'm just like, look, I'm going through a breakup, and it's like, I'm not going to write about it. I'm not going to write another breakup story. I want to write about monsters breaking up with each other, which is what you can't see it on camera now, but it's right there. It's table scraps. My first novel was about a monster breakup story. No big deal. Just saying it. I have a genre. I'm gonna fake it till I make it. And by fake it, I mean I'm gonna not care about these things. I mean, I do care a lot. But I don't know, there are parts of my life that I really like right now. And there are parts of life every time I get in this place, when I'm back in this me zone, when I'm just like in the twilight zone of, single Anthony life, single dad life, I get here and I appreciate a lot of things more when I'm here. I definitely recognize how much more time I have. Like I learned just this week, I had time to myself, and I learned an entire animation program and learned how to use it. And I'm not saying I'm not spectacular at it. Like I am not super proficient at it, but I'm learning, and I'm better at it than I would have been in any other given situation. And in such a short period of time, I love that. I love that I'm capable of doing that, and it just makes me wonder what else I can use this time to do. So I've done a lot this week. I've learned a lot this week. I've been through a lot this life. It's been an interesting time. I feel like I have so much to look forward to. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to have a convention. We're going to start getting our book out in a real way. I'm very close to finishing issue 2, which means I'm going to move on to my next project. I'm very close to significantly working on this fun Pitches Get Stitches series, which I don't actually have any. I don't have any expectations for. I do think it'd be fun to just get it out there, and who knows? Maybe people will like it. And if no one watches it, no one watches it. It's fine. It's one of those things that I am enjoying. I'm enjoying making it for me. So cool. But I don't know. I've been struggling a little. I feel like I'm in a weird place where I'm not able to help the people I'd like to help in a way that I'd like to help them. We haven't been able to do interviews the way I'd like to do interviews. I feel like, okay, this is a weird, so recently, right? So this is Madman. It's an indie comic. You can see, I love Madman, obviously. As a kid, I used to go to the bowling alley all the time with my parents, and I know this is going to seem random, but it's just like it's something that happened to me this week, so I'm story time. But as a kid, I used to go to the bowling alley every week with my parents. They were in a league. I go to the bowling alley for what seemed like an eternity. I was stuck in this child play care room, and I used to escape, full on Rugrats style, distract the person watching and escape, cause a disturbance on one side of the room and just roll for stealth and make my way to the other side and escape. And it would work, and I'd do it all the time, and I'd go to the arcade and I'd go through all the machines and I'd play, and it was the best. In the arcade, it was the best. Eventually my parents were like, all right, we're not going to put you in there anymore. You're too good at escaping and you're not doing anything bad. Just go hang out in the arcade. And I was like, yes, this is my life now. So I did that for a long time, right? And then, so I had all these little secrets. I found ways to get coins, and it was great. It was great. And I was like, you know what? If I have to be here, this is probably the best case scenario. But one day, I was at the bowling alley and I'm in the arcade and I was called over to my parents. I was like, oh, am I in trouble? What's going on? And it turned out that my cousin was there. My cousin is a little older than me. So he introduced me to a lot of bands when I was a young kid. He took me to like one of my first shows, one of my first concerts. Just hugely influential in my young childhood and most of my life. And I was just like, oh my gosh, Gary's here. Yes. I was like, this is amazing. I love talking to Gary. I'm a young guy or young kid. So it turned out that Gary's significant other at the time was on a bowling league. And so he was going to start being there every single week. And I was like, oh, every single week I get to hang out with Gary. This is amazing. And so Gary started bringing comic books. And one of them was Madman. And I loved Madman so much. And it just like, I don't know. So there was something about reading Madman. I can tell you specifically, the very first page of the Odyssey was the thing that just like this was. So he says, I wish I could see myself as a great romantic figure, someone to be admired and respected, loved. I'm aware enough to know what a far cry that wish is. I'm sick. I have to face that one simple fact. Something is very, very wrong with me. And this book goes on to just change my life, just like be a book that shows me that people are writing stories about real people with real problems, emotionally, mentally, philosophically, and like towing the line between like philosophical, fun, existential, weird concepts and silly, absurd, heroic stories of adventure, just like just marrying those things and like bringing real life struggles, and like mental struggles and emotional struggles into, in a comic book. And I was just like, what? And like, I personally had never seen anything to that degree up until that point. So I saw that and I was just like, oh my God, and it just shook my world. And I was just like, I love this book and I need it, so it got me into wanting to write comics and wanting to write things like freaking Play It Again and Deathless and things where they're exploring, mental health issues and like emotional, breakups and like devastating situations while also kind of having fun and like kind of dancing through a genre in a way. I love that. And I was just like, God, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. So the other day I was on Twitter and I was like, I want to tell the creator of Madman, Mike Allred, like how important Madman was to me, or is to me, and just show him my book and see what he thinks, and just be like, hey, look, I made this thing and it was inspired by you and your life and works, and I appreciate you, thank you. Because that's, I don't, like, as far as I'm concerned, two most important things you can say are thank you and I'm sorry. Right? Like that's how I feel. You show gratitude and then remorse when it's necessary or appropriate, So I wanted to say thank you, and so I did. And I was just like, hey, I made this. If I made a book, I'd love for you to read it. And I didn't expect anything to come from it. And then he liked it. I was like, okay, it's Twitter. Like, that's cool. It's cool. But people like things. Like Kevin Smith will like basically anything if you tag his name. And I was like, all right, I don't feel special anymore, Kevin Smith. You don't love me. But so, Mike Allred liked this post and I was like, cool. We'll see. And then he followed me. And I was like, holy crap, it was just like that weird, like, like the cool dolly zoom thing and that they do in Jaws where it's like the camera gets closer, but the background's like going crazy. That's how I felt. It was like my whole body was like, oh, what do I do with my hands? What do I do with my skin? This is weird. And I looked and I was like, he's only following like 1,000 people or something. Like, he's not following that many people, and I'm just one of them. And he has a lot of followers. Like, this is okay. This is crazy, you know. So I was like, what's gonna happen? What do I do? And I was like, maybe he'll message me if it's about that. I don't want to like impose or like assume things. I don't know what to do. I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. You know, I said what I had to say. You know, we'll see what he does. So he just followed me, and I was like, cool, okay. So I was like, all right, what do I do? So I thought about it. I was like, okay. Well, he followed me right after I said I'd like for you to read my book. So I was like, all right, I'll send him a message. So I did. So I sent him a message. And it was just like a simple message where I said, like, not the whole thing that I just said just now, but I just said, I really appreciate you. And, there's no chance I'd be able to make the books I make without having read the books that you've made. Thank you. And I sent him, like a link, and he just didn't respond. And I'm just like, listen, like, I don't have time or the spirit left to deal with any more of this rejection. But that's what I get. That's what I get for taking. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and 100% of the shots you do if you're me. No, I'm kidding. I don't actually regret it. It's just one of those things where I'm like, dang it. I was hoping this go a different way, but I don't know. I don't need anything from him, but like it would have been nice if he read the book and was just like, hey, cool book, kid. Good job. I'm glad you did it. I'm like, yes. Like, just, you don't have to, life is weird, huh? Oh, well. My internet connection was terrible, notoriously. Just complete trash. Like as if, two gnomes on, like separate planets and different satellites holding cans with a string, and making fart sounds into it. Like that was my internet. My internet was essentially like, it was like a monkey with an Etch-a-Sketch during an earthquake, trying to just get a connection. It was crazy. Unacceptably bad. So I was like, okay, what can we do? So I did some research. I found like local internet that was better, much better, a little bit more expensive, much better. So we got it. We were like, yes, get them in here. Let's do this. And we got the internet, and they hooked it up. And the first day I uploaded a video to test it. And I was like I had like one of those like fainting moments of like just utter shock, where it's just like, I can't believe what I've been living through, knowing that this is possible, because it was so phenomenally faster, like so much faster, like just such an incredible improvement over what I had. Where it was just like, this is the best thing ever. So I was like, yes, my life is getting like incrementally, we're doing this. Everything's getting better. Let's go. And the next day, I had intermittent connectivity issues, and my internet was just falling out, just canceling out of nowhere. And it's been doing that for the last like 2 days. And I've been talking to the people about it. And apparently they have to send someone out. And they're going to do that on Wednesday, which is 2 days from now, which is like 2 days without internet. It's kind of working now, but it keeps kicking me off. And that's why Steven, it's part of the reason why Steven and I couldn't do this, because it kicks me off all the time, and I just have to keep starting over, because I know, anyway, I'm dealing with it. But because of that, I'm going to get out of here. And it's probably been too long already anyway. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing to our podcast. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't. If you haven't shared this podcast, share any episode with anyone at all. I don't care. Like, if you find our worst episode, find your enemies and just spam that link to them. I don't care. Just get them, ha ha ha. Like, make them watch us as a punishment. Or alternatively, preferably, show people who like comic book stuff, who like movies, who like like silly stuff and weird stuff and life and the universe and everything. Show your friends, show your grandparents. Like, help us get the word out, because we can only do so much. I'm not great at it. In any case, I really do appreciate you. I appreciate you being here, even if it's just you and you don't share it. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you. Feel free to, let us know what you're working on and what your struggles are, what your issues are. And it's nice to bond with people over this stuff. I know we're all going through a lot of things, a lot, separately and together. And it's not always on the surface. And it's, it's hard. It's rough. It's tricky. It's complicated. It's, life. But I am thankful for you. I hope you know that. I hope you all know that we appreciate the heck out of all of you. And I'm sorry that we couldn't have a better episode this week, but we promise we're going to be back. We do our best to do what we can and get something to you. So next week I will, I'll do my best to get something a little bit better to you. So we'll see what we can do. But this week I'm probably going to write stuff. I'm going to be on Twitter. I'll be on Tumblr. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to climb out of this freaking quicksand, and I'm going to move forward. And that's all we can do, is just keep trying, right? But yeah, thank you all for being here. I'm Anthony, and this has been episode 115 We Have Issues. I'll see you next week.
Hi, my name is Patches. I live in the cemetery. I just like it. I've been here my whole afterlife. See what I did there? I mean, it's not much of an afterlife. I don't get out much. I'm single, ready to mingle with the living, unlike, look, dead people are not a lot of fun to play with. I mean, my mom says I shouldn't say that or admit to the things that I like to do for fun, but here I am on a dating site again. So, I like to tell stories. I'm gonna tell you something. You make up your mind. You wanna hang out with me for fun? Let's do this.